little late tonight, guys. All right, we're live. Whew. Now let's give a few minutes for people to pop in here. Nobody? I guess we're out of business. Oh, somebody. Catfish and Chris, what's going on? Dickie Farley. Now everybody's going to start piling in. How you guys doing tonight? We usually do this over Dallas's. And, Joe Bowles, John Trudell, George Bonnie, John Woodworth. Blaming them squirrels, man. Noah Howe, too. That's a good name. I like that. Larry Reed, Zach at 3 feet. Catfishing, Vargan Good. Jerry Franks, John, what's happening, John Wilburn? The legendary John Wilburn. Brian M., John Trudell, Baji Meister. Hi from a guy stuck in New York. Get out of New York now. Get out of there. It's going to get harder to leave every minute. New York, New Jersey, and our whole area. Just get out of there. Top of the evening, Java. Let's see. Kyle. All right, Dakota. Good. Okay, good. Dakota's already been timed out. Excellent. Plan Z. Unfinished business. Brian M. So, you are for doing that BMW project with me one day. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let's in a few years, bro. I mean, we could all be dead like soon. You know, a few years. Get it over here now if you want to do it. Zero, what's happening, brother, man? Let's see. Where's Kathy? She's with the grandkids. She just fed everybody. So we usually do this from Dallas. Dallas is always nice. Dallas had to actually, he had to go in for an emergency torsectomy. I'm hoping for the best. It's rough, you know. He went to the doctor. They found his torso was no good. So right now they're eliminating that. They're going to be attaching his legs and his arms directly to his neck. So hopefully, Savage Outlaws. How old am I? I'll be 59 in like real soon. David Cody killed a man in prison. Excellent. You know, I mean, really, seriously, who hasn't killed a man in prison, right? Let's see. Jason's growing. Yeah, prayers for Dallas. Yes. You know, it's rough. He's only going to be about 3.5 feet tall now, and you know the neck does get very crowded when you attach the legs to the bottom and the arms to the side. It go, you know. So, Joey, what's going on? How's your day going? Love your channel. Thank you. Watching from beautiful Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Our brothers to the north. Paul Capizzola. We're going to Jake's next week. Yes, we are absolutely going to Jake's straight away on May 8th. That's 318 Fest. We'll be there with Bottle Rocket. Actually, we're gonna screw around with Bottle Rocket tomorrow. The poor thing is just sitting there. It's covered with cobwebs and dust and shit like that. So we got to show Bottle Rocket some love. Jeremy Woods. Hey Tony, let's talk about Magnum 318. Yes, let's do that. What about it? You start. Okay, James Kaiser. What's happening? Let's see. Zero says maybe kick down one of them throttle control chickens so Dallas can still drive. I can, yeah, you know, actually it would be a good idea to train one of my chickens to actually drive and help Dallas around the shop. Yeah. Prayers for Dallas. Okay. Let's see, Mopar Man 78. What's happening? Don't know. You had to Dad take my mom to the hospital. Oh, I hope she's feeling better. That's right, Debbie. Debbie, you feel better, sweetheart. You got this. Whatever it is that you got it covered. Let's see. Jeremy Hughes, just down the road from you in Marion County on the Chattanooga side of Monte Eagle, God's country. I love that area. It's too desolate for me. Like I couldn't live there. You know what I mean? But because I'm a city person, right? So I need to be, you know. But I love that area. I love Passage, but I love visiting it. John Wilburn, oh, you're going to be here on Friday. Oh, I'm going to get my 170 on Friday. John, we gotta set that up and fire it up on the floor as soon as you get it here, man. Matt S, 318 Magnum, probably the easiest motor to modify. You can still find tons of them. Yeah, they really are. They're all over the place. And I know we're Magnum light. I want to do more Magnum stuff. We will do Magnum stuff, but you know, just one step at a time. Stony Man, can you put a Chevy motor in a Pontiac? Yes, done all the time. The chassis is the same, the cross member is the same, but the motor mounts that bolt, the motor mount brackets that bolt to the frame are different. So you got to change those. And also that can be a real bear change those things too. Those the nuts on the inside get like, right? But yeah, absolutely, you stick a Chevy in a Pontiac. Mostly old parts, it's Ron Ward, the Mopar specific tech channel. Mostly old parts. So you guys are like Mopar only, you don't want to know about anything else. How would them, right? But mostly old parts. Go sub to that channel. Let's see. Elka. I want to build a small block Chevy 350. Can I buy new pistons or I need to hone this? Can I buy new pistons or do I need to hone the cylinders? Oh man, that Elka. There's a oh God, I don't know how to answer that question for you, my brother. I would measure the cylinders before you think about buying pistons. You know, I don't know what you want to do with that engine. That's such a broad question, and I don't mean to discount you or anything like that. But the question is like way too broad to answer. I'm sorry. Beaumont resident. I have a 73 C20 pickup 350. Heater fan always seems to run on low, and I can turn the fan all the way up, and it shuts off one click down and comes back on. What can it be? There's okay. If you look on those trucks, if you look at the oh God, where is it? No, on that thing. You're gonna find the resistor pack for the fan motor, right? It's either going to be mounted on the heater box, right under the dashboard, or mounted on the far passenger side end of the firewall, or the AC box that sticks through there. I'm not really sure they put it on those trucks, but look for the fan motor or the blower motor resistor pack, and that's probably the problem. Mostly old parts. Could you discuss the pros and cons of using green bearings on the 8 3/4 axles versus OE tapers or old style bearings? No, you could discuss that. And on your channel, and anybody who's interested in learning about the green bearings and the difference between that's the video you need to be doing, my brother. If the truck has AC, the fan is always running. Yeah, well, actually, it doesn't even have to have AC. On General Motors cars, the AC, the fan always runs, whether it's got AC or not. It's part of a ventilation system. But when they start doing odd things, you know, it'll only work on certain speeds and whatnot. It's usually that resistor pack that's in there. Okay. Uncle No Identity. I've seen air filters say 444 barrel, and I've seen some that say 440 Magnum, Super Commando, and TNT. What does 4 barrel mean, and who used the term? Was it the non-performance name? Oh God. Commando is Plymouth, TNT is Chrysler, Magnum is Dodge. The 4 barrel ones. Oh God, which ones said 4 barrel? Just 4 barrel. 1967 Dodge would just say 4. 1967 Plymouth would just say 4 barrel. The 1967 cars would say 4 barrel, and the rest of them would say Magnum or Super Commando. And the Chrysler's also all of them said TNT. Well, all of the high performance ones were TNT. Astroventilation, that's what it's called. Harley Hawk, 1979 Bonneville that had chatter from the torque converter. Is it worth swapping to another converter to see if that's the only problem? I have another used one. No, I would leave it. Leave it. You're fine. They just tend to make a little noise when they get old. 344 barrel. Yes, 344 barrel. Unfinished project. You just bought a car. It runs and drives, but it's not snappy or quick. You know it has tons of potential. What do you do first? Timing. Timing. Usually snappy, quick, right? It's all of the magic is going to be in the distributor. Most of the magic is going to be in the distributor. Like if it's got a notable, like, you know, stumble or bog, you know, the carburetor. Okay, if the thing runs good, right, like functions okay in every other way, but just doesn't have any snap, go right to the distributor. Let's see. No, Dallas is not feeling well tonight. He'll be back next weekend. Actually, next weekend I believe that we're gonna have a visit from one. I'm gonna throw my money out and say the smartest guy in all of the hot rod hobby. So, but that might be next Wednesday. Thank you for putting that link up there for the merch, Fubar. That's our merch, right? Tony, do you watch NHL hockey games? No, why would I do that? They don't have any cars on. Are they playing out of cars now? Oh man. Let's see. He got COVID. No, he's just not feeling well. Anthony Santiago, will I lose torque if I upgrade to bigger valve heads on my Pontiac 350? You won't lose torque. You'll just move the torque curve up a little bit. Smaller valves and smaller runners equal more low-end velocity, more velocity at lower engine speeds. When you increase those things, anything that you do to increase flow in and out of the motor will generally move the torque curve up. So you'll have slightly less, let's say, initial touch of the gas, and you'll have slightly more from 2,500 or so on up, right? But yeah, it's everything. Unless you're talking about power adders, anything normally aspirated you do to an engine, just about anything normally aspirated you do, will kind of move the power curve to a different place. You know what I mean? The Ronin Cloud. Are you ever going to do any turbo applications on LA engines going over how to make a blow-through car from a standard 4-barrel? We can definitely do how to modify a blow-through standard car for blow-through. That's not a problem. Turbocharger, I'm not going to build one for myself, but if somebody wants to come along and say, hey, Tom, let's drag this thing into your shop and stick a turbocharger on it, I am all about that. So. Okay. UTG, why are Dodges from the late 60s and early 70s so rare to find like the Super Bee and the Challenger? Because they're extremely popular cars and they've been hoarding them. And I mean, the popularity of those bodies, like the 60 to 70 B bodies, and the earliest E bodies, the 70 and 71s, those people started hoarding those cars literally back in the 70s. So that's probably, there's a lot of them out there, but usually you'll find somebody who has 30 of them, you know. People just don't want to get off of them. They're very much in demand. Okay. Joey, my parents have an old car as a 54 Ford that is all I know about it, but they put new paint on it. Okay. Mike Contrell, how you doing? Hello from another brother man. Ari is scraping 6 pistons. You're into that thing deep, Harry. Peter Kovacs, in the spirit of do-it-yourself cheap ram air setups and benefits, yes, anytime you can get fresh air into the motor, anytime you can ram air into the motor is even better. Anytime you can get fresh air in, you're dropping the temperature of the intake charge. It's horsepower. It's always power. Sometimes it's a little tiny bit. Sometimes it's a lot. It just depends on what you're working with. Kenny Mopar, are ARP head bolts worth the money on a 440? No. The metallurgy of the stock head bolts that they used on the 440 Chryslers is just fine. They're beautiful. You don't need ARPs. If you're moving the engine to that level, that next level, right, where you're talking about making real horsepower with it, like over 700, 800 horsepower, then skip right over to bolts and go right to studs. Studs are a good investment, but not at, let's say, the street power range between like 300 and 600 horsepower. You don't need anything but those stock head bolts are fine. Let's see. What fluid, Brian Carafano, what fluid goes in convertible top motors, 68 Buick? I would think just standard hydraulic fluid. I mean, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but if somebody brought me a convertible top to replace a cylinder or fix a line or a leak or anything like that, I would look to fill it with just hydraulic fluid. I would use hydraulic jack oil, which you can get at any auto parts store. I might be wrong. That's what I would say. Like my initial reaction. I fixed one myself and I had to, I got to fill it up. I would use hydraulic jack oil, but maybe somebody knows better than I do on that. Greg McDonald, what is the lowest octane for a 10.5 to 1 340? Can a higher overlap cam lower the cylinder pressure enough to use a lower octane fuel? That's a trick question now, because the cam profile will lower your static compression, your dynamic compression ratio, but it lowers it at a lower RPM. So yes, you could probably get away with a lesser octane fuel at 10.5 to 1 motor. Let's say you got a big cam and everything, right? You got no lowering cylinder pressure, but you're getting increased cylinder pressure on the other end. So that's where you're going to run into trouble with it. So I would say, a 10 to 1 motor just always err on the side of like octane. Give it some octane so it stays safe. Uncle Tony, you ever meet Gail Banks back in the day? I know I never met Gail Banks. The most impressive thing I think I've ever seen on a drag strip was a turbocharged top fuel. This is a Pomona back in like, I want to say like 86 or 87. It was a turbocharged top fuel car. And I saw this thing in Pomona. It was a Gail Banks creation. And this thing, I never saw anything like it in my life. It got about 5 feet off the starting line, and it threw everything between the back of the block and the center section of the rear, like the clutch, right, the coupler, the clutch, the reverser, the front of the 9-inch, right, everything. It just threw it out of the car. I never saw anything like it in my life. Car went, and everything just went boop and just fell out the back of the car. Most impressive thing, the impressive display of horsepower I've ever seen in my life. That was a Gail Banks creation. Let's see. Oh, it's my brother Ralph. Yes, the fuller the fridge, the more energy efficient it is. Let's see. This is so much better than the presidential address. Is he still trying to talk? Okay, Steve here. Are all 49 case 8 3/4 big yoke U joints? No, they're not. No, they're not. Emil Michaelan. Do you use a line lock to hold a sticker on the line or double pedal your left foot? I generally double pedal. I have this phobia about adding anything to a car. You know, if there's some way that I can get around it, whatever it happens to be, I'll find the way around it. So I have never had a line lock. I've used line locks in driving other people's cars, but I've never actually put one in anything that I've owned. Let's see. That shows that everyone messes up, even the big guys with Gale Banks money. He makes some crazy stuff to this day. Well, I mean, that's not messing up. That's just they made enough horsepower that nothing behind that engine was going to, you know, that was whatever they had was state of the art in the day. You know what I mean? Probably a 3-disc Crowler glide and a 9-inch Ford, you know, nodular section, you know, 9-inch Ford Lenco reverser. That was all the normal stuff that they had back in the day. It was state of the art, and it would handle, you know, a regular, you know, a regular supercharged motor, no problem. But that turbocharged deal, it just threw everything out. It was just beautiful. Let's see. Tony, get me the lady's info on the Chrysler Conqueror boat she wants to sell. I have no idea what lady or what boat you're talking about. Let's see. Cameron Covington, Tony, would you ever buy another Fox body? As much as I love Fox bodies, and as much as I really would love to have a Fairmont, you know, Mustangs, you know, I want a Fairmont, right? I want a 4-door Fairmont, but I won't do it because I just, my fleet is locked in. You know what I mean? My fleet is locked in. I can't add anything else to the fleet. Honestly, well, I'll talk about that another time. But no, as much as I love those cars and I love to work on one, if somebody in my general area wants to do some Fox body stuff, some small block Ford stuff, I am all about that. Get it to my shop and let's start screwing around with it. But I'm not going to add anything else to my own fleet. Tom Muse. Okay, Tony, time for a serious conversational question. All right, Tom? Safety equipment. What should guys have at the track for gear to be safe? And what parts are first safety concerns? Okay, Tom, that's a good one. Okay, obviously, if safety is a concern, right, the first thing you want to do is go to either the sanctioning bodies, the AHRA or not the AHRA, the NHRA or the IHRA rulebook, and look at what they require for each ET increment. So, you know, from $13.99 to whatever you need this. You know, from $12.99 to you need this. From $9.99 you need this. Right? There, I mean, the comprehensive, they've got the safety end of things covered. So anything that comes out of my mouth is just going to be parroting what you're going to find there, and I will not do a thorough enough job doing that. So I would definitely recommend you go directly to NHRA or IHRA and go to the rule book and just look up the safety equipment, what they need. There's just so much of it. If I start rattling stuff off, I'm going to forget things. So throw it in there. My number one concern, fire. Nothing will fuck you faster than fire. So that's my number one concern. The way fuel lines are run, the way just making sure that in the event something happens, you know, there's a way to get that fuel off, that it's not leaking, that the tank isn't flopping around, that isn't ripping lines out and pumping fuel. Fire is the number one thing that I'm concerned with. Let's see. Ajax 750, what's happening, brother man? Nick the storekeeper, is it true that 1/10 reduction in 60-foot time is worth 2/10 at the end of a quarter mile? Try again. Between 7 and 10 tenths. A tenth on the 60 is worth, well, let's say between a half second and a full second on the big end. Tony, buy a pizza for the dogs. They're getting taken care of right now. Talk about the 318. Talk about the 318. Talk about the 318. Arnold Zuno, you start talking about the 318 and the rest of us will jump in. How's that sound? Mike Ragland, got any old stories from back in the day that come to mind that involve a Superbird or a Daytona? Not really. I did a drag test on a Hemi Daytona back for Mopar Action magazine back in like 1987. Yeah, I do have one story. Right, the first Superbird I ever saw, and this was in the 70s. This was I want to say like 1978 or thereabouts. There was a guy. I can't remember his name now, but he was like local. We were all teenagers. Maybe he was a couple of years older. Maybe he was like 20, right, 21. And he had a B5 340 4-speed Duster, and we would gravitate around to everybody's house that had cars. And one day we pulled in front of his house, and there was a B5 Superbird sitting, like a little wooded area next to his house, and half the car was in the woods, the other half wasn't. And we're like, oh my God, it's a Superbird, right? So we're looking at the car, right? And the driver's side of this thing is pristine, it's perfect, right? And we go around to the passenger side, and the passenger side of the car is missing. It's not there. There's no passenger side. And the story was that the guy who owned it had come from upstate New York, and the guy who owned it had fallen asleep on the New York State Thruway. And I don't know if they still have them, but back in the day, they used to have these like stanchions, these steel stanchions, and they had little reflectors on them on the road. And this guy evidently fell asleep at 100 and something miles an hour on the New York State Thruway, and those stanchions peeled the whole entire passenger side of the car off. That's the first wing car I ever saw. Let's see. Jeremy Woods, where can I buy a carbureted intake to fit a 3.9 Magnum? I do not know. They used to be available through Mopar Performance, but I seriously doubt they have anything like that anymore. You have to find used. Brian Floyd, before UTG came along, I thought that Chevrolet was the only brand. All these years I missed out. Thanks, Tony. And I happen to love Chevys. You know, you'll never, ever, ever hear a bad word about any type of Chevrolet, well, not any type of Chevrolet, but small blocks, big blocks, LSs, right? W motors, stove bolts. I love Chevys. You know, people think, oh, you're a Mopar guy, he hates everything. No, I have so much respect for Chevys. And I've worked on so many of them over the years and built so many different combinations for people over the years. I love them, you know, but they're overrepresented, which is why I kind of shy away from it. You know, it's like, you know, I mean, my fleet is Mopar, the bulk of my experience is Mopar, but you know, I love Chevys. Shiny metal particles. I don't know. I must have missed something here. Ian Sloan, my daily driver is a 64 Beetle. Go you. I try not to drive like an asshole or draw attention, but people are constantly vandalizing my car. Keep turning me. Oh, bro. I know, man. I know. I don't know what you can do about that. I don't know what you can do about that. People are just fucked up, man. I don't know why. Let's see. James Wilhite, what's happening, brother, man? Yeah, Chevrolet's always been overrepresented. George Bonnie, I appreciate you not ragging on other makes. Why would I rag on other makes? I mean, you know, yeah, obviously, right? There's always going to be a rivalry, you know what I mean, between friends. You know, you got somebody with Pontiacs, somebody Oldsmobiles, somebody with Fords, man, and so there's always going to be a rivalry and shit like that, you know. everybody feels that their stuff is superior. I happen to know that my stuff is superior, Mopar stuff, but that's besides the point. No, each of the manufacturers did amazing things. You know what I'm saying? If you go back to this classic era that we talk about, and you got to keep in mind, like all the stuff that's available today, all the stuff that's around today evolved from that era. You talk about the greatest minds in just amazing people who did all that stuff. No, I respect all the high points of all of the manufacturers. You can't be serious. I just came from the carb video. Wow, the audio in this live stream is subpar. Sorry, bro. I mean, it is what it is. Danny Boyd, shout out Renaults, Tony. Sure, you can find something bad to say about them. Worst metal I've ever worked with. Renaults. Because they were big for a little while in the 70s, and the AMCs who were using, and the worst metal I've ever worked with on an engine was the Renault stuff. No, I take that back. The Hyundais, the first Hyundais that they started importing, those had the worst metal. How you doing, Gabriel? Thoughts on vintage Land Rovers? They're cool, but they're not really around here. It's like they're an oddity. I mean, I dig the old SUVs. Especially the Broncos. The first generation Broncos were extremely cool. But yeah, see, vintage Land Rovers don't really exist in this neck of the woods. Let's see, Project Thunderbird. Tony, which one is better, open element air cleaner or a stock single snorkel air cleaner? I like the sound of the Quadjet, but want cool air to go in it. Stock air cleaner. Well, I mean, if the stock air cleaner has a sufficient opening, like I'm trying to think which one. There's an air cleaner, the single snorkel GM air cleaner that comes to mind. I can't remember which one it is though, but it's kind of definitely an adequate opening to feed the motor, right? Yeah, I mean a large free-flowing single snorkel would probably be better than an open element because you can pull air from a cooler area. But I mean, it's kind of like flip a coin. You know what I mean? Martin Wellingford, is $5,000 too much for a good condition 1964 Dodge Dart 270 four-door sedan, and what to look for? Is it too much? Is it clean? Does it run good? Is it rotted? That's on the high. It's kind of on the high side for that car, but really, seriously, the price of everything 60s is just going berserk. So $5,000 may seem like a lot right now, but it's not that much. I would. The only thing to look out for that car, and somebody who asked me the same question last week, and I says, look at the cowl underneath the dashboard, the cowl area. Those things are prone to rot under the cowl. And sure enough, the person who I gave this, sure enough, the car that they went to look at had a rotted cowl. Kevin L., thank you. Kevin L., I want to swap a 4-speed into my 71 Scamp. Any sources for inexpensive pedals and clutch linkage setups, like from another Chrysler product? Okay, the one that you're looking to do there happens to be probably the easiest of them all, right? All pedal assemblies. Now, there are subtle differences from year to year, okay? But from a bolting and function standpoint, any pedal assembly from 1967 through 1976. And it doesn't matter if it's Slate 6 or small block, or it doesn't matter what it is. The pedal assemblies are all exactly the same. You're going to have to find a specific Z-bar unit. I mentioned you got a small block in there. So, but no, the pedals are, generally speaking, you can buy those pedals for like $100, $150. I see them go like maybe up to $200 or so. Any crisis swap meet, you'll always see those 8-body pedal assemblies. So, and they're completely interchangeable from 1967 through 1976. Let's see. Let's see. John Bossoms, do you enjoy building transmissions and ring and pinions as much as engines? No, I really don't. Those are like drudgery items to me. The motor, and same thing with electrical work and body work and paint and like anything else. I'm an engine guy. I love engines. And I love the systems that go around engines, but not so much. I mean, driveline work, suspension work, all that stuff is something I do when I have to do it, but it's not something I ever do like voluntarily. You know what I mean? Tony, are you familiar with Crass and Bernie? That rings a bell. Wasn't that was that Popular Hot Rodding? Tony, if I adjust the curb idle or retune the carb, Holly, do I have to adjust the transmission cable? I imagine you've got a low car cable on there. No, you're only concerned with full throttle. When you're adjusting the cable, you just want to make sure that when you're open full throttle, okay, that the kickdown assembly is in its furthest point. So you want both to reach max. You want the throttle to reach max and the kickdown to reach max simultaneously, and then let it come back, and whatever it is at that point is what you're going to have. Jason's Garage, Tony, what was the largest CFM thermal quad? They had 1,000 CFM. It wasn't in production. It was a competition series thermal quad, 1,000 CFM, and they produced that like well into the early 70s. They're still around. You can find those. Let's see. Tony, I got caught up in getting the 170 to you. I forgot to give all the hardware. Oh no! And the trans kickdown. Would you like ship that stuff to you? I'm probably going to have to fabricate the kickdown for the trans because I'm using a Super 6. I'll let you know if I need anything. I'm pretty sure I got everything I need. Big Bear, what's happening, brother man? Leonardo from Argentina, representing Argentina. I want to know, yeah, Leonardo. I want to know about this Slate 6 road racing series that you guys have. That's something. Somebody. Okay, this is something I saw months ago, and then somebody reminded me of it like a couple of days ago, and I haven't had a chance to actually go back and look at it. But in Argentina, there's a class of open wheel race car, like Formula something or other, right? That's based on Slate 6. The only engine they use is Slate 6, and evidently they do some astounding stuff with that. So yeah, I definitely need to look into that. That's right, Lobo. You're Argentino also. I mean, you were the one to tell me about the Slate 6, Lobo. You're two Argentinians taking over. And Ari's wife is Argentinian. I mean, there you go. UTG, can you make a video on rebuilding auto and manual transmissions? Well, I'll probably do one on the Gambler car because I've got to build a torque plate for that. When we get around to that, we'll do that. And as soon as they blow up another force peak, we'll do that one too. Well, if you want to watch a video on rebuilding an automatic transmission, John Wilburn on his channel did one, a very detailed video. Just go to John Wilburn and subscribe to his channel. You should all be subscribed to John Wilburn's channel. Don't fight tires from Argentina. What was it? Eva Perón, right? Was that her name? Was she a good guy or a bad guy? I don't. James Wilhite, on my 170, oil pan put baffle in, or just a window tray, or both? Both. But I mean, good luck finding a window tray for that slant. But yeah, both. Kyle Weiner, what are your thoughts on the Hemi 6 versus the Slant 6? I know the Hemi 6 is superior. There's no question about it. Almost every engine is superior. But I know nothing about the Hemi 6. We never got any of them in this country. Somebody needs to do a Hemi 6 channel. There are so many thousands of people who just live for this engine. They love it so much. I'm doing this channel now for almost 3 years, going on 3 years, right? And since the very beginning, people have been asking me about the Hemi 6, and I've been giving them the same answer since the beginning. I've never actually touched one. They didn't bring any to this country. But somebody really needs to do a channel based just on the Hemi 6. I don't think I've ever seen an engine that had such a rabid, loyal following as that thing does. Let's see. Danny Boyd, is there another manufacturer's cylinder head which will fit onto a Slant 6 block? Bore spacing is weird. It has an unusual bore spacing. There's a tight bore spacing and there's an odd bore spacing because you got 2 cylinders gap, 2 cylinders gap, 2 cylinders gap. So I'm not sure. If I remember correctly, there's an inline Toyota head, an earlier inline Toyota head that has similar bore spacing. But if I'm not mistaken, there's an issue with it's a hemispherical head. But if I'm not mistaken, there's an issue with getting the valve train to operate because of the way the push was. In other words, the cam is located too low in the Slant 6 block to reach over and operate the rockers on that thing without passing through the top of the bores. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, there is an 1860s, 70s Toyota inline 6-cylinder head that I'm pretty sure has the same bore spacing and bolt pattern. Let's see. Ramble content. What was the last 318 motor put on? Well, the 5.2 Magnum. So it was right up until the end of it was in the Dodge trucks, right up until they went to the Hemi, the 4.7, and then the Hemi. And the 4.7 replaced it in whatever year it was. UT, out of all the Chevelle years, what year is your favorite? 70, 71. No, I like the 64s too. There's something about the first year body on that car, but in my opinion, like the 70, 71 Chevelle, one of the most beautiful cars ever built. Lorna Baxter, can you tell me what kind of timing curve for my 408? It's a street engine with 9.5 to 1 compression, J heads, with 268, 274 cam, So I guess it's advertised. It's a small cam. Currently 15 to 18 degrees idle with 34 total. I don't know about the curves. That's actually pretty. That's a pretty tight. That's a pretty tight curve. I mean, you talk about less than 20 degrees. That sounds good. What you got there sounds good for a street driver. Tom Hughes, what is the biggest tire you have fit under a stock Mopar wheel well? Well, they see you have all different, that's a trick question, because you have all different configurations of wheel well. Like for instance, you take a Duster, the Duster has a complete, has an extra 3 inches in there over a Dart or a Valiant, right? Because of the way the quarter pedal bulges out. And you get like your 68, 67, 68, 69 Barracudas has a wide open wheel opening. You can stick ridiculous meat in there. It all just depends on the car. Texas Mopar, can you fit 215 valves in a J head? You probably can, but why? 202s are fine. Thank you, Fubar. UTG, what happened to the Dodge box truck? Did that have a 360? I drive it almost every day. That's like my favorite vehicle. Yeah, no, and it's got a 318 in it. Brian Daum. Hey, Tony, I'm working on a 300 tree manual transduster, and I'm trying to figure out how the linkage works, and it like trying to figure out finger trap. I couldn't tell you off the top. I mean, it's linkage like anything else. No, I mean, you should be able to find a diagram of it online here someplace. Now, if you're having a problem getting it to work, are you sure that you're using the correct transmission to go with that? Because that Duster could have you get 2 possible transmissions in that manual, manual 3-speed transmissions. You have the A903, okay, which is the light duty manual 3-speed, and then you got the A230, which is the heavy duty. And the A903 only came with column shift linkage. The A230 only came with floor shift linkage. So if you're having a problem getting a linkage to work, it's possible that you've got the linkage from one of those transmissions or the other, and vice versa. Okay, that's probably where your confusion is. What part of the boot is my family from? All over the map there. Let's see. One man's treasure. Tony, all my cam bearings are nicked. Should I put new cam bearings in it or send it as is? Define nicked. That's a judgment call, and I can't tell you without actually being there and looking and seeing exactly what they got going on there. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't give you advice on that. Dallas is a little under the weather today. He'll be back next weekend, next Wednesday. Let's see. Do I drive a Ford truck? Me? No, I drive. All my vehicles are vintage Mopar. Let's see. What's my favorite Italian car? I don't think I really have one. I don't think I really have one. Let's see. Let's see. Jason T. Yeah, that's a good question. Uncle T. Why don't you have a truck? I have 2 trucks. I have my box truck and I have my wrecker. How many trucks do I need to have? Tom Hughes, what kind of decor do I need for the shop? I have a bunch of old. I appreciate that, but I'm good for right now. I'm good for right now. Peter Kovac, stripes and badges or sleepers? Sleepers. UTG, did you find the root of the problem with the lifters you were buying and going bad? It wasn't just me. Google bad lifters. There's thousands of people have had this problem over the last 2 years or so. Gotten to the bottom of it? Yeah, it's bad material. Bad machining and bad material. I need a swept line, Harry? No, man, I really don't. My box truck does everything a pickup truck can do and more, right? So I prefer the box. I don't drive stuff for style, right? I drive stuff for function. You know what I mean? It's like if it looks good, okay, that's a bonus, right? But I go for the function, and there is nothing on earth more functional than my box truck. Rambo content. Have you worked on any Dodge Challenger from the 80s, aka Mitsubishi Challenger? Yeah, I used to work on those things all the time because they were around. I was a regular mechanic. They were all over the place. Yeah, I worked on plenty of those. Tony Garza. Tony, what should I do? My 85 318 is backfiring on acceleration. Any suggestions? Try advancing the timing. See what happens. You might be projecting you love a swept line. Box truck really is a winner, though. Yeah, again, like I said, if you for style, man, it's very hard to beat a swept line. Okay, I would rate the early Ford. Ford's built the best looking trucks, followed by the square bodies, and the swept lines were kind of a little odd, but they're still beautiful. James Wilhite, Rick Cobalt built new windage trays for the slant. They're 150 plus shipping. Okay, that's not bad. Let's see. The internet got kind of fuzzy when I said the Ford thing, but look at Casper, right? Look at Unity's at Casper, and tell me that thing isn't just beautiful. Uncle Tony, have you worked on a 1930s Cord? No, I've never been fortunate enough to work on something like that, but I would love to. What track is the Slant 6 event going to be? Since September, yes. Since September, it's in Sikeston, Missouri. And you go to ahraonline.com and all the information, all the details are there. Let's see. Toxic masculinity bothers you? Hey, don't Tim. Brandon, hope your day's been awesome. It has. It actually has. Any tips on tuning up a 305 Chevy and a 1980 Camaro? Timing is 9 degrees before top dead center. It has an ABS2 Edelbrock 1901 daily around town driver looking for a bit more oomph or power. Well, what's your total timing at? That's the big question. I mean, you got a conventional. It's an 80, so you've got a conventional HEI in there. Look into curving the distributor, right? Just do a quick Google search on that, curving HEI distributor, and you want to get as much initial lead in there as you possibly can. So without it kicking back. So you want like 34 degrees total, and you want to have like maybe your initial set at around 18 to 20, and that'll give you a real good snap, and you won't be. So look into research curving the HEI distributor, and that's where you'll find your answers for that. Um, um, Peter Kovacs, the only way to get more power from a 305 is to change the numbers around to a 350. Well, you're talking about, tire burning, drag race terror power, or are you talking about like a cruiser, a daily driver, that sort of thing? Because the 305 is perfectly adequate for that. Just like my 273, I daily drive a 273. People are like, oh, it's so small. It runs great. It's a high 15-second car. It gets 18 to 20 miles to the gallon. It does exactly everything I want it to do. It's perfect. So it's like, yeah, and the 305 is no different. Actually, the 305 is very, very similar. So guys, I got my granddaughters inside, so I'm gonna cut it early tonight. We're coming up on an hour, so let's get any last licks in. Anybody have any real good stuff to throw out there? Um, uh, Braden, hey Tony, I have a 390 CFM 4-barrel on a 250 inline Chevy 6 Chevy in my Firebird. Do you have any mile per gallon trips for a vacuum secondary Holly? I'm 22 and broke. Well, I mean, the vacuum secondary, Braden, the vacuum secondary doesn't affect fuel economy because, I mean, if you've got enough throttle opening that you're actually activating the secondaries, you're not worried about fuel economy. All of your fuel economy is going to be on the primary side. I forgot the rest of the question. I'm sorry. Good night, Harry. Jason T, my Mallory distributor went everywhere when I took it apart. I bent the spring holders. Did I miss a roll pin or something? I don't know. I'm not a psychic, man. My remote viewing skills are a little light. Peter Kovacs, the 305 doesn't beat well, not designed for snappy driving. Hey man, I had a Monte SS. I had an 86 Monte SS. I had that car for a couple of years, and it was more than snappy. It ran great. There was back in that period of time, the late 80s, right? I had a friend, Sam Biondo, who's actually a very famous bracket racer. And if you know practice trees, the practice trees and all, he's the guy who invented that, the practice tree. His daughter Krista had an 85 305 Monte. And that thing was a high 13-second car. It was like a daily driver thing, completely legal, New York State, legal at the time. And it was a high 13-second car. It was plenty snappy. There were lots of guys running out there with 305s back then when they were common, when they were all over the place. And they ran really good. So, yeah, grandkids rule. You got that, mate. And I'm gonna go spend a few minutes with mine before they cut out home. So everybody who joined in tonight, right? Our mods, right? John, Ari, Fubar, Zero. Thank you guys. And everybody who contributed to Super Chat, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Everybody contributed with conversation. We love you guys. Keep it coming. And next Wednesday night, we'll be back with Dallas at his place for a regular Wednesday night Tech Talk thing. And Sunday night, we have a Sunday Night Live at 7 o'clock every Sunday, 7 o'clock Central Time every Sunday. So until then, I'm gonna tune out of here now, and we're out. Thank you, guys.